compared to most other MOBAs, it's actually a run with a lot of little niches in there, and we are going to be doing the warrior percent, aka Artanis percent. We'll get ourselves in the first map, and when the clock on the first map hits 000, then the time will go live. I don't know if the sound is high enough that you can actually hear the in-game countdown, because I can do it as well, but...
You can do it, that's cool.
Okay, yeah. So, for those who don't know, the concept of Heroes of the Storm is similar to any other MOBA, where the idea is you push down the lanes, you get some structure, or you get the forts in this case, when sometimes it's towers, depends per MOBA, and then you kill the core in this case, and you win the game. The speedrun is a 1v0 version of that, so no enemies in the game.
10 seconds.
And when it hits 000, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, go.
Ability online.
Now, warriors are normally the super tanky guys that don't do a lot of damage, with a few exceptions. Artanis is one that is specifically catered towards structure damage with one of his talents. So, unlike all other warriors, he can take down structures very, very fast. Next to that, he has a shielding passive, which means that he gains shields quite quickly. Those shields you can then use to, well, tank structures as long as you want to. The basic concept of the character himself is, in actual non-PvE version, is you swap your position with others, putting yourself out of position, but core enemies as well. If that all fails and you're out of position, well, you're probably the most sustainable character in the game, like you don't really die that quickly. Which is, next to his PvE strength, the reason you pick him over other warriors in the warrior percent run. Now, normally in MOBAs in general, you're using items and levels, and you upgrade abilities. Heroes of the Storm is slightly different in this. It still uses levels, but instead of abilities, it uses instead of items, it uses a concept called talents, which each character gets unique talents. Which, by the way, I'm going to be slightly annoyed because this is a map that has RNG in it, and we got unlucky. So all this stuff I just did before this is all wasted. Because because every map has an objective, and most objectives we're going to skip. This objective, however, is so incredibly quick and powerful that we want to do it. It's basically, for anyone who has played StarCraft, it is a giant Zerg wave that each team gets and will push one of the two lanes, indicated by either the blue icon, in this case in the top lane, or the red icon, in this case in the bottom lane. Now, we're going to get ourselves a healing fountain real quick, so to make sure that we have the mana and health to complete this run. Even though my health seems like it's absolutely nothing, it's more than enough to finish this run, due to his passive, which I will talk about in a little bit, when I go over Artanis abilities in specific. Now you can see the Zerg wave and just how big it is, and how little I have to do for it. I just have to capture those beacons. This just helps me push down the objectives so much faster, making this the fastest map overall. And especially if you actually get some luck and get the Zerg wave in the correct lane. If you don't, then you lose about a minute worth of time. If you do, then, well, you just saved yourself a minute worth of time. Now, as that, each map objective differs, and that's one of the cool things about Heroes of the Storm, and especially Speedrun. Because each map is so much different from each other, you get a unique experience on all of the 12 maps, and every map has its own little niches. Some maps you do cams on, and some maps you don't. This map, you get the objective, but you don't get cams because of how potent the objective is. On most maps, the objectives take some time to actually get, and we don't have that time, nor is the first objective strong enough to actually utilize. And now, we don't need to get the final bit of structures for our own doing. We can just start ending this game by attacking their core. The core has a actual percentage health bar, as you can see on the screen, on the top, on the middle right. It has a percentage one, and it has a little blue bar, or white bar. That little white bar is to say, if you haven't attacked the core for a while, it starts regenerating a shield, meaning that you can't really backdoor. Backdooring being sneakily going behind the enemies and ending the game without them being able to do anything about it. That shield is to prevent it. Well, we are in a PvE, so we don't have enemies, so that's not really a problem. We don't really need to concern ourselves about enemies and the complications that gets along with those. This is map 1, 535 is on the slow side, as I said. You can do 440 on hammer, 450, 460, 5 on pretty much every other character in the game. Now we're going to go to Infernal Shrines next. The ordering doesn't really matter, but I personally prefer to keep Warhead Junction as the last, and Infernal Shrines, Dragonshire, and Battlefield of Eternity as like the second, third, fourth. This is because Infernal Shrines, Battlefield of Eternity are pretty much the same map in a PvE sense of the word. Dragonshire is the most straightforward map overall, and is the best map to do. Now, last time we were in a 2-lane map, and there's already a big difference you can see between the maps. This time the map has 3 lanes, each lane has its own individual objective, and randomly in one of those 3 the objective spawns. We're gonna ignore it because that objective takes about 2 minutes to do on your own, if not more, and it's really weak. It's really potent in a PvP standpoint, but that's not our concern. We're doing the bottom lane because the bottom lane has the fastest cam for you to do, and well, faster cam means quicker game. You end the game quicker. I think that's pretty straightforward. Now, there's a lot of little intricacies in this speedrun, and each one can save you, like, or if you mess up on the littlest things, it can easily cost you half a minute, if not more. Dying, of course, being the worst punishment, and then your run is just straight up dead, no matter what happens. One of those other things, and that I'm going to showcase soon when the 2-minute mark hits, and is bigger on some maps than on others. On this map, it's not that big of a time loss. On among others, Warhead Junction is a really important one. When the 2 minutes hit spawn, or 2 minute, when the timer hits 2 minutes, certain camps start to spawn. Among others, the Impalers, or as we like to call them, or at least I like to call them, the goats, because they're goats. And I think I don't really need to explain why don't you? Goats, just all the goats. No hype for goats, please. We want goat hype. Oh, Yeah. Donation or whatever.
Alright, we have a 20 euro donation from Indy saying hammer time. And that puts us in 20 out of 40 euros for the hammer percent. So get those donations in. Let's get that hammer percent a reality.
Well, that's good to hear. Already half my goal all of a sudden done. Thank you, Andy, for that donation. And we're hopefully then going to see some Hammer plays. Hammer is the official character to do this on. We're not gonna do it because if you do the full run, an individual level is really interesting to see, but the full run, the full 40 minutes, gets dull quite quickly on Hammer because she doesn't do similar to, among others, Artanis. She doesn't do objectives ever. She doesn't do camps. She just does the same on every map. Yeah.
Alright, let's make that 25 out of 40 because Skrull just donated 5 euros. 5 euros to make Hammer proud. On that note, Hammer, where is your donation for Hammer percent? Good luck, little bro, on the run, and good luck to all those that will stick around for my run during the night shift, which is that Dragon Quest run, if you were wondering.
So yeah, whilst the donations were happening, thank you, by the way, for that 5 euro donation. We or I did the goat camp, and now those goats, they do not actually enter structure range, which means that whilst I'm pummeling away at structures and the minions are tanking it, or I am tanking it personally, they just start chipping away at those structures. Now this is a little thing that differs again per map. Some maps have the tower behind the keep, and others have it in front of it. If it's in front, we do it first. If it's behind, we do it afterwards. Or on some maps, not even, because you don't need that tower to actually start getting the ability to attack the core. The core is invulnerable until an entire lane is down in terms of the keep and the fort, which is the big square building in the center. Now we are going to have to leave out of this range very quickly because keeps and forts have a special ability, and it's a very frustrating ability. That is that they slow attack speed. It's why a Hammer is such a strong, potent runner for, or a Hammer is such a strong character for the entire run, because Hammer doesn't care about that attack speed slow, because she attacked it from out of range. Artanis, however, does not have that option. Artanis does have, however, the advantage in terms of killing the core, that his passive, he constantly generates shields. And those shields, if done properly, have a cooldown lower than the damage it takes the core to break it. So it's just up 24/7 for me. Well, not actual 24/7, but pretty darn close. And even though my health is like non-existent right now, it's enough to finish the run on. There is one tiny exception, which you have to mess up badly for that to happen, and that is if you use your W on the worst possible timing, you do not lower the cooldown by your shields enough for this actually to be the case. Because your passive, your shields, cooldown gets lowered every time you hit an auto attack. Your W is to auto attack, so it will instantly lower the cooldown by double the speed. It's map 2 now finished, up to the third map, which will be Battlefield of Eternity. And now a little bit of menuing in first, and we can go on to the next map. In Assassin percent, you do one of the maps with a different character if you're quick enough with menuing. aka you only play assassins. In Warrior Percent, you just only play Artanas due to that structure damage that he brings with a talent. That talent being his level 1 talent, Amateur Opponent, Twin Blades, your W, the 2 auto attacks, deal 150% of the damage to non-heroes. So to structures, to minions, to map objectives, which we ignore, but also to, for example, the siege camps, aka on Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines, the goats.
10 seconds. It is destined.
Now we wait for
5, 4,
frickin'
3, 2, 1.
game to start,
Let the battle
and we
begin.
go start pummeling away at the first tower. Now on this map it's very important, on all maps it's very important that on the first tower you have your positioning properly, because otherwise both towers can hit you. On this map you have to take a slightly different route to prevent that. On some maps you can't fully prevent it, so you just have to deal with taking more damage.
I see.
Or more likely you just ignore that first tower push because you cannot afford to take the damage that it pretty much forces on you. It's one, you can mostly mitigate with your shields, but two, it gets really heavy to do so. And now, yeah, Battlefield of Eternity is pretty much the same as Infernal Shrines. It has, on the actual map has a very different idea from Infernal Shrines, but in the speedrun it's just the exact same map. You take the bot lane, you take the sieges at 2 minutes, you take the healing fountain then, and you just pummel away at the structures. Now, there is one other little thing that you use about Artanis, because your E ability, everyone has 3 abilities plus an ultimate. You can choose between 2 different ults, but it never gets late enough to actually get to the points of ult being valid. We end at level 7, maybe level 8 if we're a bit slow, but yeah. We won't do any longer about it. Or if we do, well, we're amassing up badly because we just lost ourselves, what, 4 minutes? It takes about 4 minutes to go from 8 to 10. And 4 minutes time loss is just not acceptable. No matter how you put it, it's not. Especially if we go per map. If we lose 4 minutes per map, then we're in a bit of a pickle. Now we finish off this goat camp. Then just like last time, we're going to get ourselves the healing fountain, mount up, because whilst mounted you're 30% faster. And yeah, we clear the wave with our Q, which is a dash that returns to its original location afterwards, unless you combine it with the E, which is not important because that's a PvP thing. The strength of the W is it's really good wave clear. It doesn't really help you out if you're in a sticky situation because, as said before, it returns you to your original spot. But if your goal is to clear a wave, well, then it's awesome. We're going to dash through this wave. We're gonna auto attack cancel to the front. And we're going to start taking this tower. Being very careful about our positioning because we cannot afford to take 2 towers worth of damage. This is so that this tower will be dead before the Impalers arrive. Which means that if I'm careful enough, this is a risky thing. If you're too impatient, this can easily kill you and in return kill the run as well. But if you're careful enough, then you will have your shields up in time and you can take that second tower, and you have to be careful with keeps anyway, so that doesn't really matter. Now, we need some extra minions here. But luckily, minions spawn frequent enough that they're in time here. And that we can get, after clearing this minion wave, can start coming with the structure. We are not actually going to take the tower on this map. We're just going to take the keep. And the keep alone. Because this tower is positioned behind the keep. And the mercenaries are doing a lot of work already for us. On the keep. And we don't need to kill the tower to get the keep quicker. Where that's probably the only difference between the speedrun version of Battlefield of Eternity and the speedrun version of Infernal Shrines. You take a tower extra. Now we should be able to get this in time. Yes, before getting the attack speed low. We do clear this minion, so minions won't chase us into the core. And it also gets us the regen globe, which means we'll be a little bit higher in terms of mana. Not that it matters. We're high enough that our mana regeneration will make sure that we can use our W off cooldown. Now, your W timing, you can be really precise about it, and it's technically you have higher DPS in that sense, and higher DPS means you kill the core quicker. But it doesn't matter for your safety. Unless you're really slow with it, but we're going to assume that you can be quick enough with mashing W. You can just button bash it if you want, and just AFK spam press W. The ending the game is in every run the dull part, because on Artanis you can't die, on Hammer you're out of the range of the structure so you can't die either. On Gul'dan it's a little bit more interesting because you utilize the minion wave to keep sustained up. And in the support one, in support percent it's really important, but support percent is really slow as well, so every little bit counts in that one. Supports are not meant to do damage, and even though Tyrande can, it's all PvP damage in her case. Now we go to our next map, which is Dragonshire. It's my absolute favorite overall, but in the speedrun, it's the most straightforward one as well. Similar to Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrines, you push bot, you get the siege camp, and with the help of the sieges, you just push to the end. However, this is a very different run in the Hammer one, because you can ignore pretty much all structures on this map, whereas on Infernal Shrines you have to take out an extra tower or two. Now, the map objective of this specific map is shrines will spawn, and if you control both, you can take the Dragon Knight. The Dragon Knight is the little yellow icon in the middle. We're not going to do that because I do more base damage baseline than the first Dragon Knight does. However, if it were to come to a second Dragon Knight, that starts to really chunk. And the third one can just end games alone. It scales really hard, really fast, but it starts off really weak. Now we had messed up a little bit in the positioning on that tower, meaning that we took out an extra 2 shots from the other tower, and it's a tad bit slower in terms of taking this tower, so we will be low health. Not death level health, but we do get our regen globe before doing anything else, just in case. Now we clear this minion wave as we're getting used to, and we start pummeling away at tower number 2. Again, the beginning of every map is the exact same, and it's getting really dull, and I just died, and I'm just stupid, and well, you can see by the death timers, it's already 12 seconds, and it takes the time to walk, so yeah, I just done goofed. I just done goofed badly.
We must stand as one.
All deaths can be really easily prevented, but as the more you play, the cockier you get, and especially on the later maps, the beginning can get, as I said, a bit dull if you do it very, very often. And I've done it in both the game. I have a lot of games in general, and I've done the speedrun a lot of times as well, so I get impatient kind of quickly, and it's not paying dividends, to say the least. It's something that I need to work on, but yeah. I think that's just general, something everyone can work on. Don't be impatient. If you're impatient, you mess up. Now, this camp, in this map, we still get the camp, and it's pretty much the same camp. But instead of 2 goats, we get 2 giants, or 3 goats, we get 2 giants. Meaning that Bush is a little bit slower, and they're a little bit more durable, but that doesn't matter, seeing as they're never going to tank structures anyways, because I'll be doing that for them, or minions will be doing that for them. Now we are going to walk over here and get hit by the tower. This is actually faster than the other pathing, and it differs per time. If my minions are fast enough, they will be in the keep range by this time, but this time they weren't. Which kind of sucks. Oh well. We start taking the next structure in, well, the next keep, of course. And we're going to, in this case, take the tower as well, because I want my minions with me on this wall. This wall is very hard to do the tower, the single tower tanking on, where you only tank 1 tower instead of both. So I'd rather just prevent it. It realistically doesn't matter in terms of how fast it takes. Ow. Well, we're going to have to wait for our next minion wave, because I do not want to die again. Dying again would be very embarrassing. And would just, yeah, it's unnecessary. And it's, in the current, like, world record for the warrior percent, it happens once. But very late in the game, well, very late in the game, meaning level 7 instead of level 1 like that last time, so the spawn time is about twice as long. We do take this tower to keep our minions alive for longer, whereas you don't in, or even though the positioning wise you don't need to, because the minions are attacking the keep. However, I don't want to reset to minions every single time again and again, and one of my sieges is attacking the tower, so it's just a lot quicker. Now we wait for the next minion wave, and we do the same. After this, we're going into Tomb of the Spider Queen, which has a little bit different, or has different walls on it, and just, even though it's the same mechanic again, it takes a lot longer in this. Or it takes a lot more little niches to do this one than to do Dragonshire and Infernal Shrines. Now we can start ending this game as well. Our sieges are getting distracted by the middle fort, but that doesn't really matter. The little thing I'm doing here is called stutter stepping, where you just walk in between your auto attacks, because your auto attacks have a cooldown anyway, and you need to wait. In the meantime, you can do a little bit of movement every single time, and it gets you into the proper positioning faster, and whilst doing more damage. Yep. And now we just end the game. Like it's as I said before, the cores are really the same every single time, and the start is the same every time. In the middle part, on most maps is the same, but there's a couple of exceptions, amongst others Warhead Junction, Battlefield of Eternity, and let me see, what other maps do we still have to do? I'm gonna have to. I have to keep better track of the maps that I've already done. I've done 4 now. Only 6 to go. Then the run is complete. We're almost halfway through the map. Let's see. Tomb of the Spider Queen is the next one. And ready is our game. This loading can occasionally take a bit longer because Heroes of the Storm loading checks if everyone's ready every so often, and if you're a little bit unfortunate, you just have to wait a little bit longer. It's technical RNG. Technically, you can manipulate it as well, but let's not get into that. That's... If you end the game on a precise timing, the loading screen will be a little bit shorter. But those are such small differences that we're not really going to bother with. Now, on Tomb of the Spider Queen, normally you collect gems, and if you collect enough gems by killing the ranged minions in each lane, you can get a turn-in. A turn-in will get you web weavers, which are just giant spider ladies pushing down all lanes. We end the game before we have enough gems, so yeah. It's not worth it to even try to go for that objective, and even if you try it, like, you're done before you have enough. And now we start doing the same as on every map and taking the tower. Now, a lot of characters can do this, most can't, and the speed which run ends up being the decision is, or if which character is viable per category, per class, is decided on can they take that first tower without minions. If yes, then they can also take the core without minions, and you don't have to wait for minion waves the entire game. Hammer can completely ignore the ranges of structures, so Hammer does that better than anyone else. The reason being why she's the standard format. Or the fastest format, I should say. Because I don't want to call her the standard format because, as I said, in the 10 maps categories, she gets dull. Now my minions are almost dead, and I don't want to get slowed by the keeps again. So we're just going to leave the structure range in time. Gonna clear this wave. Gonna get hit by that anyways. And we repeat the process. It's a lot of rinse and repeat in the actual run. And in some maps and some characters do have a little less of that concept. Now we just take sieges. These times they're Egyptian themed, which has to do with a little with the theme of this map. Because all maps of Heroes of the Storm are related to other Blizzard games, like World of Warcraft, like StarCraft. And this one has a World of Warcraft theme, specifically Harrison Jones. If anyone doesn't know Harrison Jones, he is one of the League of Explorers, and he, well, is in search for lost artifacts, and this is one of the temples that he explores.
Vanquish.
Then normally here is where I'd strike up conversation with chat, but that's not really an option for me. Because I can't actually.
There can be no doubt.
Ik heb echt niks meer.
All right, just want to put big attention in that hammer percent run, which is coming up maybe after this run. So you have about an hour left to get 15 euros worth of donations in.
30 minutes.
So we can actually see that 30 minutes. We actually have only 30 minutes left to get 15 euros to see that hammer percent run. Then there is some name incentives for Final Fantasy IX, Dragon Quest, and Dark Souls, all name incentives. Currently for Final Fantasy IX, there is no donations yet for the Zidane name, Steiner name, Vivi name, and the Freya name. And for the Dark Souls name, there is currently 2, which is the Blame M3 is winning, of course. Then for the hero name for Dragon Quest IX, Indy is winning with 16 euros versus Sexion with 10. So yeah, lots of open donations. Get those donations in. It's for a good cause. It's all going towards the Dutch Cancer Society, which is they only have one goal, is to kick cancer's butt. So get those donations in, and yeah, let's get that hammer percent going, shall we?
So yeah, hammer percent is also done on a different map than all the other characters, because again, that little niche that hammer has in being able to attack structures outside of their range. The map with the strongest core also has the most, as the Heroes of Storm community likes to call it, hammer cheese. Being that you just take structures without actually having to worry about anything. You can go beyond walls on her with her on a set specific map, whereas other characters, well, they can't. They have to just manually go through all the structures. And Artanis is again probably like, well, Gul'dan does it very fast as well, but Gul'dan does it because he spams abilities very fast and very quickly, and he doesn't use mana. Whereas Artanis has his shield passive plus the siege damage on his W for it. Artanis is better at ending the game, whereas Gul'dan is better at taking the structures early and ignoring possible structures that he, like a hammer would. Now, the next map is Sky Temple, which the objective of Sky Temple is Egyptian structure spawn. Egyptian temple spawn, and by standing near them you channel them. And then they start shooting laser beams. And those laser beams attack the most outward structures. So if, for example, 2 keeps are down, or 2 forts are down, it starts attacking the last fort. Even if the keep offset lane is exposed. Seeing again, as per usual, we're going to take the tower, or the first structure, before the temple spawn. It's just a waste of your time.
3, 2, 1. Slay each other.
Now, this this map, originally, people waited for minions on this map because they thought you have to tank both towers, but you can do this little thing where you go again towards the wall. It's very much the same as all other maps, but you have to be careful with your positioning more so than on-set other maps. Now, I've like mentioned Gul'dan and like Artanis, but there are so many other characters, like any other MOBA that you can play and you can try around with. A friend that has actually also tried to speedrun this game and is still helping me figure out what the best characters are for, among others, Assassin Percent, is a big proponent of, for example, Vala, who has insane auto attack damage, but not the tower cheese like the other characters. She is by far the best character to end games in a PvP sense, just because of how much damage he does. But she needs minions for it on all maps, and well, let that be something that I and anyone who is doing the speedrun is doing mission to do. Now I just got hit by the structure's freaking shot, and again, which means that attack speed slow starts kicking in, and it's also a movement speed. And you just start moving so slowly, and it lasts so incredibly long, and every shot you get hit by it, it loses you a second, 2 seconds, depending on how many minions you have. Now I have to get really quickly out of here before it starts shooting me. Luckily, there is the siege camp as per usual to go to. Now each map, or well, not each map, most maps are just a rinse and repeat in most concepts with little niches to it in terms of the speedrun. Next up, I'll be doing the Warhead Junction one, which does actually utilize the map objective. In that map, nukes spawn as... I want to say it referenced something in StarCraft, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I do not actually have the StarCraft knowledge to guarantee that. Yeah, you get yourself some nukes and you start firing away with set nukes at enemy structures. Nukes, like you'd expect a nuke to do, does just a lot of damage. I did not realize my minions were in range. Now we start mounting up, and we protect. It's very important to protect Siege's health bars and to tank as much minion damage from them as you can. Because if you don't tank enough, one of the two might die, and basically the entire time you used to get that camp is suddenly wasted because, well, one of your two is dead. Now we have to get out of this range before we die. And I just forgot something really important, and this is one of those little things that you have to keep thinking of, especially on Sky Temple, to just keep drinking from your healing fountain to make sure you have the mana to actually end the game. Currently I'm on half mana, but I still have to work through that keep. You have to do it after the sieges, because if you do it before, and then those sieges, you don't actually get enough value from the sieges and their natural pushing power. If you do it too late though, as you just saw, you just have to walk a lot more.
A bold plan.
And let's start pummeling away at the keep again. I'm really losing my focus for some reason, and I just, well, it doesn't really matter because when minions are here, the attack speed slows over anyways, but it just puts me on a lot lower health, which doesn't really matter as we're just going to pummel the core, and that shield passive keeps kicking in time, so we just survive and add the core. Now after Warhead Junction, there's only one map left to go, I believe. I have to quickly do a recount in my head. And then we have done enough maps to actually finish the official format. Because doing all maps, well, certain maps sometimes gets disabled because imbalance reasons within the PvP game. This time, or seeing as, well, seeing as we're not in a PvP setting, it doesn't actually differentiate, or it doesn't actually matter for us, but we need to keep this a runnable game in case maps get rotated out. So if you say you have to do all 13 maps, then well, there might be a map disabled, and there might only be 12 maps. How are you going to do 13 maps if there are only 12 maps? Now we go through the loading screen once more, leave, custom game, and we are going to get ourselves into, I just messed up my menuing, to the Warhead Junction, the nuke map, the other StarCraft map. Now, all Blizzard games have really in-depth lore, and I think that Heroes of the Storm is generally lacking behind. It's just heroes from each realm get sent to the Nexus, aka the realm of Heroes of the Storm, and that's it. I think they can do something really creative and actually create some own lore,
Combat preparation advised.
but at the moment that's not the case. Now unlike other maps, we're going to go mid in this map, because the camps here are just weak. They don't get the job done, and because they're melee range and they die to structures immediately. Well, not immediately, but they have a relatively low health bar
10
compared to the other
seconds.
sieges. However, we compensate by having that nuke, making it
4,
actually, even though we
2,
don't get to
1.
have help pushing,
Let
it is
the
still the
battle
second fastest
begin.
map. And as per usual, we start by taking a tower. I have to quickly reposition because the second tower leashed onto me after my dash. But that's not a problem. To make sure that we don't die, and that's it. The individual levels are run more often than the entire run because of the repetitiveness that it can bring, and frankly it does bring, because especially as I said, the beginning and the end is the same every single map.
This burden is mine.
And the problem with individual map runs, you can do them as different characters and hammers, but we can't say for every single map of the 13 maps, hey, let's make a separate format for it. And you can try out Speedrunner, you can try out all the characters, and it's actually quite fun to see how each different character works on certain maps, especially the trolley characters like Murky, which has a health bar that is pretty much as low as 2 core shots. Now, we are in luck. This map has a little RNG factor in it, and that's where those nukes spawn, those warheads. The warheads in this case spawned in mid and in bot, and that's why we go to mid in general, because mid, it has a 1 in 3 chance of spawning in mid in any lane, or a 2 in 3 chance of spawning in the lane you're in. However, if you're in mid, it's the quickest route in case you're not in luck, in case you're actually have to travel to one of those other 2 lanes. Yeah, something that Heroes of the Storm has done very well for the PvP aspect, for the actual like MOBA, for the actual tournament format, for whatever you want to call it, is each character, or not each character, but a lot of characters defy the standard MOBA tradition. For example, as I mentioned, Murky, he has a health bar that he dies to 2 core keep shots. But in response, he also respawns after 6 seconds instead of the, well, late game level 20 50-60 second respawn timers that other characters get. You have a character called Cho'Gall, which is 2 characters controlled by 1 person. And especially if you're playing a bit more casual with your with your friends, it's really fun to just bicker like an old couple, because you're fighting over resources. One controls the character, the other controls
Nuclear launch detected.
the damage abilities. Now, you just saw the nuke. It does damage to all structures. It does more damage in the middle, but we value hitting more over the actual bonus damage. Because we just hit 3 extra structures, and the damage bonus is tripled. But 3 extra structures means that we get effectively 4 times the damage over hitting only one thing with the center, with the triple damage.
Vanquish.
Other characters that are really notable, one of them in the speedrun is Illidan. Illidan has the ability to immune auto attacks, and of those auto attacks also keep auto attacks. He was the original character to do pre-minion siege with, to push the initial tower without actual minions there. And people realized, hey, Artanis does a lot of damage and can do that too due to his shields. And thus the arms race of can you take that first tower begun. If you can't, as I mentioned before, if you can, then you're a valid character for the speedrun. If you can't, then bad luck. Now, we're almost done, and this is the second to last map, only Garden of Terror remaining afterwards. And I'm surprised how far under my goal I'm actually at. Now I'm starting to think, haven't I missed a map? We've done Infernal Shrines, Battlefield of Eternity, Praxis. I believe that those are all maps. Wide goal. I believe so. If we get sub an hour, then we do. I forgot. I just realized I forgot one map in Blackheart's Bay, but we are still on world record base even with that map. Yeah. Now these minions did not actually leash away from me, and this might cause a problem. I'm gonna have to slightly reposition again to make sure those minions don't mess up my actual ending ability. Because you see how close it was before, well, with a little bit of extra minion damage, it gets too close. Yeah, we're probably going to be 5 to 10 minutes still under world record, even with Cursed Hollow after Cursed Hollow. After it, yeah. We're probably got ourselves a world record. There's still some ways to go, but well, it's kind of hard to lose time on this map. So yeah, we have ourselves still 2 maps, and then I expect to end 108, current world record being 120. So that's 12 minutes under world record. The world record isn't set very high, to be fair. But 12 minutes, because unfortunate that's, and it being less prepared than the current run or some of the other practice runs. 12 minutes going to be a really great cut.
The battle begins shortly, heroes.
Now, it is important on Garden of Terror that we go mid. Because the bot siege camp is over here, which means that it doesn't help me with first structure. Whereas the top one is over here, which is just way too far back. The middle one is over here, right near my sippy cup, my healing fountain.
Let the battle begin.
Now, I'd really like to showcase more character variety, and maybe I should have submitted slightly different run and just with more characters, but
Together we are strong.
I hope I can at least show you that Heroes of the Storm is actually a good speedrun in terms of lots of little, well, not RNG manipulation, but very little RNG, yet
I see.
lots of little things that can quickly lose you 20 seconds by just doing it in the wrong order.
Heroes, night will fall in just a few moments. I hope you're ready.
Triumph through sacrifice.
Now we do, well, the same as we've done the entire game pretty much. Just slap structures
With honor.
until our sieges spawn, and then we can go over to the sieges and very conveniently go to the healing fountain as well to get our make sure that we have enough mana to finish the run. Now the map objective on this map is actually a really potent one, probably the strongest overall outside of Praxis Holdout. It's a Garden Terror spawns at some point. That Garden Terror disables structures in a similar way to Sylvanas does, and just does about triple damage to structures. So yeah, it pushes very fast, but you have to get all these little things done, all these little map objectives to actually get that far. Yeah.
Alright, we have 3 euros from Durrani saying, "Hey guys, Durrani here. Go guys. Nice to see this event. Good luck later on Cruel."
It is destined. You fought well this day, my warriors.
Oh, thank you for the donations. And sadly, no hammer percent. And as we're on the second to last map, I doubt hammer percent will make it through here.
Is mine.
Now, something to note about just talents overall. Every character gets their own unique talents and abilities, and they augment your abilities, sometimes in really unique ways. Sometimes it just reads add a stun to it. Well, that one got removed luckily, because that was horribly imbalanced. But sometimes they're really creative and really enable the character to do what he does. Murky, for example, the previous mentioned baby Murloc that dies and respawns very quickly, has the added talents of, for example, Ack Hunt one is called, where his Ack is the thing that makes him respawn so fast, and he will respawn at his Ack location. All of a sudden he can get the ability to spawn fake Acks. So people can go on an Easter Ack hunt, or not Easter Ack hunt, but Easter hunt, to find Murky's little axe. And if they get the wrong one, they get slimed. A bunch of slime spawns at the Ack location, and does a little bit of damage and like slows the person who tried to kill Murky's Ack. Other examples are, I just love Murky's talents, for example, because they're also always puns. Like you have Big Tuna Kahuna, which makes him just a tankier character. And it's not really a noteworthy talent overall, because even though it really is something that only Murky could have, it's not something that really enables Murky to be Murky and just an annoying little Murloc. instead, what it does is do the exact opposite and make him a lot tankier, but make his respawn timer longer. But sometimes that's just what you need in a PvP scenario, or even in a PvE scenario if it gets to that point. Just so you can tank a little bit more and, well, you don't have to worry about dying as much as other characters. But suddenly you don't have to worry about dying at all. Now, this is going to be the end to the second to last map, meaning that we'll end at about 108, I expect. Being, yeah, as said before, 12 minutes under world record. We didn't mess up on this map at all. So we leave, cause yeah, when I start pummeling the core, when I start ending the game, then the incentive. My mouse is being very annoying and the cable is falling off the table, so my mouse is being a bit sturdy, which is annoying.
Alright, so in about 6 or 7 minutes, the hammer percent incentive will be cut off. We are still 15 euros away from that, so you have little time to get 15 euros in. It's for a good cause. Come on, let's make this hammer percent a reality.
So yeah, 15 more euros, and then you can get to see some hammer percent, some official formats, some, and with some I mean a lot of tank puns, because Hammer loves tank puns. So if you love puns, maybe I can persuade you with the power of puns. That's, yeah. So yes, Blizzard loves their puns themselves and work them into a lot of talents, but certain characters, especially without famous voice lines, have their own set of puns prepared. Among others, Hammer, which is just a Terran unit from StarCraft, made alive as a character.
I see.
She brought with her the maybe not so appropriate amount of puns, unless you like puns, in which case it is the appropriate amount of puns, and way too many. I've seen people get really pissed off at me whilst like chatting to them in-game chat, or not in-game chat, in like Discord or the like, whilst playing as a team in the PvP game. And if I play Hammer, or any character really, I like to sometimes quote their voice lines. With Hammer, it's, as said before, just puns. And I've heard people shout at me, shut up, shut up, shut up, because I kept saying that Hammer puns. Not, of course, making sure not to repeat the same one twice, because then even I get a bit bored, but she has plenty in her arsenal.
There can be no doubt. Triumph through sacrifice.
Now we go to the top of this one, so we can start actually taking this tower without standing in the fourth line. You take a lot more damage from minions, but you don't get that attack speed slow, so you can afford to, especially seeing as you couldn't do a tower cheese in the beginning due to there being no wall. This one, or this little point, compensates for it. Now normally I'd be doing sieges by now, but these sieges leech onto the second, or go immediately to the second keep, and if I haven't killed the first one yet, then my normal minions aren't there to protect them. And then they die very quickly, and then I just waste my time. I'm going to have to get myself some mana before I'm already close to out of mana. Some maps drain your mana more than others, especially those where you use your Q, your dash a lot, because your Q is 65 mana, whereas your W is 25. It's a large chunk of it's a chunky difference. So we still do that dash because it's just worth it in terms of clear.
We fight against the darkness with honor.
Can't actually walk forward because then I'd walk into tower range. But so we just wait for our minions, and now we're fine. Immediately after doing this one, we move on to the sieges, so we prepare our positioning for it as well.
We have withstood this challenge.
And it's time to do these. I'm also tanking these minions, and that's on purpose, so that my minions don't take as much damage, so I don't have to wait as long on them as I would normally. Now that's siege camp done. And see, my minions have pushed a lot farther, and there is a lot more of them compared to before. Which just speeds up, compensates for the time I've lost before on not being able to either do the initial tower cheese or I'm having a brain fart. Ignore me, please. I forgot what I was gonna say. Sometimes I have my moments, and I might be a bit young to have actual active brain force, but I do anyway. Don't judge me, please. Now we take this one. We'll hit level 7 on this wave, so we'll get a little bit of extra damage in. Level 7 will get us more damage after casting an ability, meaning that our W doesn't do 150% extra damage, but instead it's 170 in total for the 2 hits combined. The first one does 190 more, the second one does still the 150, so that adds up to... Well, you can do the math. Anyone can do that math. It's not difficult math. Well, maybe not anyone. I'm not going to judge people who don't know quick math. And this is going to be the core to our final keep. And as soon as this one falls, the timer will be over and we'll have ourselves a world record. And it's just going to take like 30 seconds more of attacking the core. Sadly, the hammer percent is not gonna happen. I would have loved to show that off, but oh well. Someone, 15 euros, you can do it. Yeah. And 14%, 13, 12, 5, 4, and game. Okay, yeah. So we've done Warhat, Braxis, Infernal, Battlefield, Tomb of the Spider Queen, Sky Temple, Garden Terror, Blackheart's Bane, I miscounted by 1.
You're missing one?
I miscounted by 1.
Okay, then you need to do another one. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, let's go. Still time runner.
Huh?
The time is ticking.
Oh, the time is ticking again. Oh god. Oh god. I forgot one.
Our time has come.
Hammer percent is still possible. 15 euros.
Now someone go give 15 euros.
Yes. Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it for the hammer puns.
Prepare yourself for battle, heroes.
Like, normally I really keep track of this with the splitter, but I don't have a splitter with me, so I have to manually count. If you do all 13 maps, that's a different story. But we're only doing 10 as the format dictates.
Reveal the way.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, but it wouldn't be single
What are you
segment.
waiting for?
Oh, it would still be? Oh, okay. No. Actually, yeah, you can't actually pause it in between because the loading screens. We miss a loading screen. We have one loading screen less than world record because of that pause. And we've got ourselves a donation.
I see.
Alright, it seems like we're gonna see that hammer percent. Let's give a round of applause to Jasper, who just donated 15 euros, saying hammer percent.
Yes. So we are going to get ourselves our hammer percent. I guess miscounting helped. Miscounting. No. Sadly, this run won't count for world record due to that miscount. Even though it would still be above world record pace. The problem is we missed ourselves a loading screen because of the pause and because when you pause in this game. Or in this speedrun.
With honor,
Now we're going to get ourselves Dickie again. And this map is very similar to Blackheart's Bay, where the sieges are too far down the road for us to be able to do those sieges
I see.
on the first keep. They're still worthwhile, just because they apply constant damage, but we're saving like not seconds worth as most niches do on this map, but instead we're going to save ourselves half a second or something like small like that. I did the math like one time a long time ago, and there might be some extra external factors in that one, but I saved like 0.6 seconds by doing sieges on Cursed Hollow. Like in a game that's run in 120 frames average, like it's still 20 frames. So it's still 20 frames. But it's not as big of an influence as getting the healing fountain at the wrong time. Or
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor.
getting sieges at the proper time in other maps. Having the luck in Praxis Holdout, of course, is
Demolish.
one of the biggest factors. And who can forget dying? Dying is not good.
This burden is mine.
Most of the time savings are estimates. I haven't actually timed the walking perfectly, but well, these sieges I did just because to know that my efforts aren't just wasted. Because if this takes longer than just actually doing it as you did with the first one, then well, I'm wasting my time going out of my way to do an extra camp. I'm wasting my time, and I'm doing something which is not necessary. It's like double loss.
It is destined.
Now, minions are pushed up. Sieges will hide in that bush very conveniently. Not that it really matters, but it's... You can technically still... you can technically do those sieges earlier, because they hide in that bush. But it's very precise timing, and you might just lose your minion wave on the first structure, and then you have to go about and walk all around this little area over here. I just walked into it soon.
No doubt.
All around, like where you see the yellow dots, just below that you have this gray area, and I don't want to walk past that. That's a lot of walking. I'm lazy. Artanis is also lazy, apparently.
It is destined.
And now we wait for our next minion wave, which on the map you can see by this little blue line moving forward. And in the meantime, I will show you the awesomeness that is /dance. Every character can dance. You can dance if you want to.
It is destined.
You can leave your friends behind. I don't know the rest of that song, but it was worth mentioning or referencing. Anyone knows that song, knows the actual next line of that song, please finish me. Please finish the next line. You can dance if you want. And now we are on the actual final map, on the actual final core of probably the longest map in the entire run. I'm surprised I forgot. Actually, Blackheart's Bay is slightly longer than Cursed Hollow, but then you're speaking of very minimalistic differences. Now, we are 50% done with the core. We are almost at our hammer percent. We're almost at we almost get to hear the glory that is puns. It is technically world record, but as that we missed the loading screen, so it doesn't count for over. So it doesn't actually count on the leaderboards, even though it proves that world record can be broken by a significant margin. Now we're going to show you Lost Cavern